What I want to do is ask your advice, your opinion, to see if you have any ideas about this. This is the Wacom Mobile Studio Pro 16. I bought it about 4 years ago for over $3,000, and I don't have a lot of money, and I had some on hand, and I thought, let's get this when I can afford it. In case my main machine ever dies, it'll be a great backup. So about a year ago, the power began to go out on this. And what would happen was that the power connection sort of looks like this. If it wasn't at a very particular angle, then it would just go to battery. It's kind of scary because when the battery dies, it can be very hard to reboot it. So, okay, I have this very minor problem. I've watched a ton of tech videos where, guys like fix these kind of problems on computers. So I know it's a loose solder. It's not going to be a huge issue. And then the other thing that happened was about a month ago, the thing began to crash. Now that could be the hard drive starting to kick out, or it could be a dodgy Windows 10 upgrade. That can break a system too. It could be a Wacom driver update. Maybe they didn't agree with one another. So either we're looking at like a clean disk image to go on this in addition to that, or to just replace the SSD. Popping this thing open, putting a clean SSD in, should be no big deal. What I want you to do is guess. I want you to guess based on this small power short and the possible hard drive issue. How much do you think they asked me to pay them to repair this? To ship it to Germany, because I'm based in Ireland. I had a similar quote on this when I tried this when I was based in the USA. How much did Wacom say this fix would cost? So, hit the spacebar, go into the comments and just type in a number, what you think it would cost. A fair number for that. Because I want to get an idea, like, am I like really being out of touch with reality here, and how much do you think this would cost? And see what people think. I'm really curious. So let's do that. Go down, type in your guess, and then get back to me, and I'll tell you what I was quoted. And we're back. So if you guessed 1,600 euro, which would be about $1,500, bang on the money there. And I think that's a shocking price. And it sounded very familiar to me. I was recently on their website looking up the cost of one of these devices, new to see that they still cost 3,000. You can buy them on their website refurbed for 1,600. So close enough to what I was quoted. Are you telling me that 1,600 is the price for an entirely new model, and 1,600 is also the price for a small fix on the power supply and a small fix on the hard drive? Worst case scenario, replacing a hard drive, which only costs a few $100, maybe $100, $200, $300, whatever. I watched a video last night about them. The latest ones are much bigger storage and smaller sizes. You cannot be serious. This is incredible. What I think about Wacom is that they're kind of completely off the rails when it comes to the kind of reality that we mortals live in now. This problem here with the power supply, I've seen other people on YouTube with identical problems. I've seen other comments about it. I've seen people complaining about the battery. I've seen people talk about their screens bulging because the battery begins to bulge, to the point where their screens were popping out of the case. And so people were like, I can't afford to do the refurb. So they were getting a spudger and pulling it open, popping the battery out themselves so that at least they could work from the electrical and have the machine monitor sit back in. What's wrong with the quality control with this company? It's astonishing. Like, I flabbergasted. I have a Dell Inspiron 1720 that I bought in 2007. I put Linux on it. I've done a video about it. I still use it. It's great. That wasn't even a high-end computer back then. And that thing, I'm still doing meaningful work on it. This was $3,000. And then they're charging me $1,600. $1,600. A few other things. When I bought this, it didn't come with a stand. For $3,000, no stand. You had to buy it separately for about $100. I think they had a special, it was $60. Ooh. And it was the flimsiest piece of tin you've ever seen. This thing weighs a ton. Like, it's a heavy, heavy tablet. And I don't know if you can see the size of the screws on the back of this thing that were meant to hold the weight. And I saw one YouTuber like reviewing, oh, it's great, the stand is so light. That's not a selling point. This is heavy. It needs a heavy stand. So on more than one occasion, I would have the stand like literally collapse when I had this on the table. And it was only good luck that it didn't fall onto the floor and shatter. I wish it had, because then maybe I could have gotten a warranty repair. So somebody on Reddit recommended this ugly but functional, very strong stand that's not going to collapse. Kensington brand. They also sold the crappiest Bluetooth keyboard through their site too. I don't know if they still sell that thing or not. And I was worthless. You would occasionally you'd hit a key, like say you're typing the THE, and you hit TH, and HHHHH would appear on the screen, and you can't work with that. So after some searching, I found the Rapoo, or APOO, ancient and been to the wars, missing a key, still works fine. It never misfires, has a numeric keypad, great. I was in a coffee shop talking to some lady there who saw me with this thing, and she had said and I believe her, she said she had been to a tech convention and she met the Wacom engineers, and they didn't use the stand that they themselves sold. They had 3D printed their own for internal use because they didn't trust the damn thing themselves to hold this thing safely. So shame on them. Like this is like awful. Sort of what I would like to point out too, I have found a company here in Ireland who apparently specialize in just fixing the power. So I'm going to be getting onto them in the new year once they open. I hope it's not my memory misfiring, but I seem to remember before the failure mode that you could use any of these 3 ports for power. So assuming I can do that, once I get this thing working, I have an L-shaped USB connector. So to try to prevent this from happening again, I'm going to see if I can either hot glue this damn thing to here so that this thing is then in solid, so that there's no play on it ever again if I can avoid it. So then I can use this end to then connect to the power, and then I'll use the middle port to use this as an external monitor. I have the kind of very useful adapter that only works in the middle port, and that will enable me to use this as basically a Cintiq, not as a computer. It'll just be the screen. It won't be a computer anymore. I don't think I'm going to be able to get it to work as a computer again. I've tried everything with it. Like, it's just exhausting. I almost had a Windows 10 ISO reinstalled, and some UEFI thing has gotten kerfucked, and it will not work. So short of replacing the hard drive with a clean one with a disk image on it, I don't know what to do here. It's almost a brick, and the last shot now is getting this little shop in Dublin to see if they can fix the shorting problem, and if they can do it for a price that isn't €1,600. If anyone from Wacom is watching this, it's your job to make a product with reasonable quality control, not one that will die in 3 to 4 years. And again, I have seen many users online with a similar slate of problems. One last thing before I go. This thing, when they listed it, they said it would have over 6 hours of battery life with standard use. That's a lie. On a good day, a good session, I might get 2. Some people said 2.5, other reviewers. I don't know how the FTC allows this company to lie and sell stuff this bad at this price point. There's a whole bunch of YouTubers like Louis Rossmann and Luke Miani, I think his name is, who talk about the awful standards that are being practiced by companies now, and I can't disagree with them. At this point, I'm just buying secondhand. From now on, I have to find some way to try to not be their pay pig. Should you buy Wacom? I would try to buy them secondhand. I've never used a non-Wacom device, so maybe I'll try that next. I don't know. I have to put that thing away because every time I look at it, it just makes me angry. And let me know in the comments too if you have suggestions, especially stuff that might relate to. So if you're in Ireland and you are even based in the UK, somewhere where it could be shipped, that knows about where these things can be repaired, because Wacom's off, like they're off the table. They're not trustworthy, and I think any price they're going to offer me is going to be price gouging. So yeah, that's about it. Still happily using my old Wacom Cintiq, the one that I bought in 2007. Look like a champ. It was a different company back then, I think. I hope. Suggestions, ideas, thoughts in the comments. If you've had the same experiences, I'm genuinely interested to see how many people have had the same thing happen to them. But again, I've seen other videos with eerily similar. The bulging battery though, that's outrageous. Like, a bulging battery is like, it's one thing for a battery to die, but to begin to bulge to the point where it's pushing the monitor out of alignment, I think is a fire hazard. I think, and the battery on this too gets to about 65%. It's 3 years old. They don't live forever, but that kind of thing should be easy to replace, and I think it's not. So that's another issue with it as well. Anyway, yeah, so just be careful with your hard-earned money and don't throw it away on a company that doesn't give a flying F about the users. Okay, hopefully I'll get something up that's a little more positive in the new year. And I will keep you up to date on the repair if I can get that company to fix this. I'll give them a big shout out in a future movie and see if I can. I'll show you too if I can get this thing working as a monitor and hook it up to my other laptop. I think that'd be brilliant. Because it's a beautiful 4K, like it's really nice to draw on. So anyway, I'll let it go with that and see you next time with happier news, hopefully, and Happy New Year. I don't have a sponsor, so if you want to support my work and help it to continue, you can subscribe to my Patreon. I'm making new animation projects week by week and providing animation assets that can be downloaded and used. I also have a very large collection of tutorials in the LinkedIn Learning Library covering animation and design, and I'm putting all the links to these in the notes below.